Now, I always have this image of your kitchen. I've never been inside your kitchen, but I imagine it's this temple to, virtuous whole foods and the like. Now, when you read this book did have an impact upon me where I went to the fridge and I went through and I cleared out a whole lot of shit that was in there. I was just like, I didn't realize that had xanthan gum in it. So that's put
Yeah.
aside. And it was, these were salad dressings. These were I possibly purchased a few of them, but most of them were things that had been left around for after having people round and things like that. But I really did
Mhm.
clean out the fridge. I'm guessing that you didn't have to do that.
Well, I did a little bit because I
Oh,
was
really?
curious. I'm like, because even if you get like, seed crackers, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems like, I mean, you can see the flaxseed, you can see
Mm,
it still might be, combined with like an inflammatory oil or, some sort of emulsifier or some sort of
yeah.
binder, right? That xanthan gum or the lecithin and things like that. So even when you're having, healthy products, in a package, there's still that opportunity to have, those ingredients that would make it an ultra processed food or at
Yes.
least a highly processed food. Like I have a cashew yogurt because we don't eat dairy. Those things, I'm like, like that's tough,
Yeah.
almond milk, even, it seems like such a
Yes.
harmless,
A lot of those milk substitutes are, like some oat
yes,
milks and some almond milks are highly processed, and I had no idea.
highly processed.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're guilty of it too. And I
Yeah.
think in general, if you stick to or aim for whole and unprocessed foods as
Mhm.
much as possible, those ultra processed foods aren't going to do as much harm. I mean, your body is equipped with, nutrients, and fiber and all that, where it can handle the ultra processed in small doses. Um, but I think it's when we make that our primary source of, calories or intake, right? That it's a problem. And even if, it has, it's fortified, vitamin this, vitamin that, the sum of the parts is never equal to the whole. Like the whole carrot, the whole apple, the whole broccoli, the whole grain of brown rice, if you have something that's ultra processed that even matches, the macronutrients and even some of the micronutrients, it's still not the same. So if we can stick to whole and unprocessed foods, I mean, that's always the key. It's, from an evolutionary standpoint, it's what our bodies are meant to consume. So, I think we don't even know all the impacts that this is going to have, as we are eating these foods that are totally foreign
Yeah.
to our bodies. What is the impact? And it's not just it's not just digestive. I mean, it really is like to, our mood, our energy, our skin, sleep, all of these things are, our stress, our hormones are all impacted by this total flip of dietary intake.
As I read the book, I was amazed at how often it touched upon factors we have spoken about in the past. You mentioned emulsifiers.
Yeah.
There's been all this research now into emulsifiers being absolutely terrible for one's microbiome, something that we both
Mhm.
agree is one of the most important systems within our body.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think those artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, the
Yeah,
emulsifiers, we know they do damage. I don't even know if we know how much damage they
no,
do.
because it's a
So not
relatively new
only,
phenomenon, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So not only are we getting rid of the stuff that's supportive that we know of, that fiber, this, resistant starches, the nutrients, the micronutrients that our gut needs to,
Mhm.
form fermented foods, all of that kind of stuff. So not only are we getting rid of the stuff that's supportive, but we're entering and adding stuff that's destructive. So it's really like twofold. I mean, we're getting rid of the good stuff and we're increasing the stuff that's detrimental, and the gut brain connection. I mean,
Yeah.
immunity, hormones, sleep, everything. I mean, you name it is, being found to be centered around the gut. So when we're ruining that, I mean, the impact is hard to quantify, I think.
It's interesting. You mentioned fortification of certain foods, and the one that comes to mind for me would be breakfast cereals, which we have spoken about before as well. And that's almost like a red flag to me now. When I see something that's been fortified, I was
Mhm.
also reading. I sometimes read the comments in underneath newspaper articles online, and someone was saying that they had heard that that fortification it's for the most part sprayed onto the flakes, shall we say. But most of it during transit and storage and the like is actually the dust at the bottom of the bag once you finish the flakes.
Yeah, I mean, I also would question what form are those
Sure.
fortifications
Yeah.
in? Are they bioavailable? Can our body even use them, even if they stay on the flake? Like that's much different. I mean, we've talked about supplements before, and there's supplements that are food-based, for a
Hmm.
reason, which is what I would recommend because that's like the form that our body knows how to take in. We can get these synthetic supplements or these synthetic, fortifications. Who knows if our body's even absorbing it? They're just testing it like on the product. It's been shown to have this
Right.
much vitamin D,
Yeah. Yeah.
this much, but who knows how much we're actually able to assimilate because it's not, our body's like, I don't know what this is. This is some form of vitamin D I've never seen before. So, I'm not quite sure what to do with it.
Now, how do you feel amongst your peers, perhaps the ones that are outside of the wellness sphere? What is their education level like when it comes to ultra processed foods?
It varies a
Right.
lot. I don't think it really has much to do with like education level,
No,
degrees
no.
earned, maybe some socioeconomic, but I'm not even sure that's the
Right.
case. And that has a lot to do with marketing. So I think I've heard of greenwashing, and I think they mentioned something else like health washing,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is like, if it's in a box that shows a farm or it's green or it's brown, the packaging says like natural or healthy or something like that, we get kind of roped into thinking like, okay, great, like that is healthy or that's holistic, that's going to be a better choice for my kids. But there's really nothing, at least in the US, that controls or regulates those kinds of terms. Anybody can have a brown box of food. Anybody can put a green leaf on their
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
And anybody can even really use the terms like healthy, whole, natural. Those terms aren't regulated. So we still have to read the ingredient label and back to people, busy moms, busy families, busy people. We don't have time to read the label on every single thing that we bring into our house. So it's mixed.
So, have you tried to foist this book upon anyone else, anyone in your immediate circle?
Yes, my
Okay.
husband's reading it next.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I've already, yeah. Although, I mean, he's already on board, with what we're
Right,
doing
right,
for
right,
the
right.
most part. But my mom and I actually posted it for the school that
Oh,
I run at for the students to check it out as a way to just further educate themselves on maybe how to work with clients, where they might be struggling, what their understanding might be of what, people say a lot of times, it's my favorite thing. Clients are like, oh, I eat pretty good. What does that mean? Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how can we kind of dive a little bit deeper into that and share information about, what might be, what is pretty good, what might be a little bit better, what direction to go in.